Hello everyone, morning, good evening, or good afternoon. It depends on the time that you try to follow my video. And as I said last time, I'll be doing video in English and in French because I believe that there are so many people following me, and some are coming from English countries, and as other coming from the French side. So today, as I talked last time about the skates, I want to follow up or to follow with other video from the skate because I remember the last time I made a video in English, I talked about different kind of skate. But today, I want to talk about how what measurement that we need to make a skate. Because we can know about the skate, but if we want to make a skate, we need to take measurement to a mannequin, or if we're using mannequin, or we need to take it to a person if we want to make a skate for somebody to put on it. So then I'll be asked trying to explain to enumerate those measurements we need to make a scale, and then I'll also go to some formula that we always apply to those measurements so that we can make that scale. So as I said today, we're gonna talk about different. I talk about different measurements that we need for us to sew a skate. It can be as I said last time, a straight skate, a straight skate that is the basic of skates, or it can be a pencil skate, that's it's like it's coming from the straight skate. And any because whatever skate we want to make, we go from the basic is the straight skate. So the straight skate, that the basic of any skate. So if you want to make other different, because the last time I tried to enumerate, there were so many of them. Some of them I did not even list them, but the basic of all the skate is a straight skate. So we're gonna talk about straight skate, how to take the measurement of a straight skate. What we need as a measurement for the straight skate, we need our waist measurement. We need our hip measurement. Somewhere also we can need our high hip measurement. But in my experience, the high hip is difficult when when you start drafting your skate. Because if I can try to just make a kind of like a drawing here from the skate, from the waist, the high hip, and then the hip, we'll see that there are different like level. Because you see the waist is here. I talked last time, the waist to find it is from the finish or the last rib of a human being. Those are ribs, and then just there on after that your waist. Because when you bend on the side, you will find some where your body is going like this. So there is your waist, because these are after the rib. Because your body cannot bend from the rib, so it's bending down. So this is the waist, and the waist is These are the let's see this is a umbilical button. So the waist come like a quarter, is a quarter of inches in top of the umbilical button. So if you go down, you see this is the high hip, and then down here is the hip. But in practice, it's, in to the mannequin, it can be possible to find when you're trying to connect the waist, the high hip and the hip. It can be possible, but in reality, in practice, it's difficult because what you see, like most of the time, ladies they don't really have this form like a waist, because the waist must be different from the high hip, and the high hip must be less than the hip. You see, but most of the time, it's just possible to join the waist from the hip, because you will find that the high hip is inside, so you cannot go to this like this, impossible. So it's easy to join in practice the waist and then do the hip. So that's why I say most of the time I just ignore the high hip, and then the other measurement we talk about waist, we talk about hip, and then we're gonna take the distance, because the distance between, I put it like this, between waist line or waist measurement and the hip. Normally this distance it's a variable, but in most of case the standard measurement we're using is 8.5 inches. That's the measurement. 8.5 inches. And then the last measurement, the fourth one, we need the total length. The total length. Length, yeah. Length that we need. So we need basically like 4 measurements to make a straight skate. That I try to list it. I'll put them here. I talk about the waist. That most of the time people try to put W, then there or some people there, and then we can try to represent the hip with H, the distance between that we're talking, and the total length is let's put it in English, is TL, total length. So the total length determine how long your skirt will be. So after getting all this like measurement, so you have to use them. Let's take I'll try to give some practical, like some, I'll use some practical value amount, so that everyone can understand when I'll be using the formula, because I'll use those things. Let's say our waist is 80 centimeters, 80, no, no, no. If I put 80, it will be difficult. Okay, I'll try to, let me take my measuring tape, and then I can go with those in inches because I'm not using centimeters, but I have to convert it in inches so that anybody can, yeah, get what I'm trying to say. So if I say 80 in centimeter will be like 30, 31 and uh, like half of inch. I say, let's say waist is 31 and half of inch, and the hip measurement, let's see, if I took 100 in inches, it's 39 and half inches. And I talk about the distance between waist and hip is equal of 8.5 inches, and the total length, let's consider, I'll go until I'll use my pattern until it will reach the knee, above the kney. I say 50. So let's put 19 and half of inches. So those are the measurements that I'll be using in practice. So to go for all this, use those measurement, we need to apply some formula. So I'll put here, those are was the different measurement. Let's call it this was the point one, and then let's go here point two. We talk about formula, formula, formula. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this formula, how to use the waist, the hip, the distance between the waist and the hip and the total length. So the first formula that I'll be using here, let's call it point A. Uh, Point A. I'll go with the hip. We do what? We use the hip in this way. We make the hip small because before to move, I want people to understand. Okay, let me go with the formula, then I'll explain what I want to say now. We do hip divided by 4 plus we put the seam allowance. Let's put it here, seam allowance. Generally, we go with three, let's say, okay, let's put it 1 inches can go to 2 inches. It depends on you or on the person that you're sewing, because I know from our African ladies, they'll be telling you most of the time, hey, can you put more allowance in case that I increase, I gain weight. So, but if you go now to the industry, like market pattern, you even see less than 8 inches. They even use like a quarter. You look for some clothes, you see they use like maybe half of inch. That the allowance they're using. But for me, like inches and inches is big. Most like my clothes when I do, I just use inches because I say when a person gain weight for like moving for one level or category going to another, they'll be telling you that the person increased 2 inches. So if you divide inches by 4, you'll be having like quarter of inches that you can increase everywhere, but you still have some inches. Like that for me. But as I say, if you go to the industry market, like all these clothes, you check inside, you see they use less than inches, like allowance. So the second formula, we'll talk about waist. We're gonna divide by 4, and then we're gonna add the seam allowance, and then we're gonna add the dart allowance. I say I put here dart allowance. RRL is for seeing allowance. I just put it short. And then C, what we're gonna is the distance between waist and the hip. We add, let's put 3/8 centimeter. It depends about your machine that you're using. If you do not have because you see some machine like an industrial machine, they start with a quarter, and then there's a half of inch. It's difficult to find the 3 of inches. But if your machine has a quarter of inch, just add a quarter of inch. So it will be easy for you to sew without having a trouble. Or otherwise, you can mark yourself. Try to mark 8 inches in your machine so that you may be able to sew with 8 inches. Because a quarter of inches will be small, very small. It will be not very stable. So you should, it's better to go with 1/8 inch or half of inches. And in the point D is the total length that we use the TL plus uh, 4 centimeters. I was saying this 1 inches and half. That is the hem allowance. The hem allowance. So those are the formula that we need for us to make our straight skate. So I'll be cleaning this part here. and I'll be moving with my measurements. Let me put those measurements even here on top here because I'll need this to try to explain anything I'll be doing on here. So we talk about the waist, we say was 31 and a half inches. The hip measurement, it was 39 and a half inches. The distance between the waist and the hip, we say it's 8.5 inches. And then the total length is 19.5 inches. These are what we need. These are our measurement that we're gonna use. So as I was saying, I want to explain why we, because that's the question people will be asking, why we devise all these measurement by 4. It's because when we're making, you see, these the measurement that we took. We talk about, in French, they talk about is a circumference that we go. So in English too is a circumference because we move from one point A, we go around the body and then we come into that point. So it's a circumference. It's like we're making a cycle. This is a cycle. So we cannot use this formula, this measurement like this. It's impossible. What I mean, it's like, okay, on my believing, I say, I just think those people, when they start making clothes, they may go in this, like, okay, they come on the part, the fabric, they give a part, a shape one way, they come on the second one, they give the shape in another way. And then they can say, this is the skate. But maybe, you see, because you're using your free hand come here, and then free hand come here. You may not, it's not like it's hard to have the same shape for both sides. It's difficult. So for me, I just think that why they get in like divide this is the cycle that I said, that the cycle is this is it, we coming from this point A, we move around and coming back here. So it's a cycle. It is a cycle that we made, is a circumference that we made. So to to make a clothes, or when you're drafting and then try to shape both sides to be identical, is very impossible. Some people may be like to do it, but in some way you cannot. So like for me, I just believe that those people, they decide to divide the body in 4 pieces. You see, let's consider these 2 here, okay? This one, 4 pieces. This one and this one are the front. And then these are the back. So it's easy when you have like 2 fronts like this. Let's consider this the front, and this other side. This one also is one of the fronts. You see this one, and then the center, the center front line. I believe if you fold this, let's put this one part, this second part, we can see so 1, 2, 3, 4. If I fold the one on top of the 2, it's become like this. Let's put it like this. One on top of the 4. And then this, I consider it as the front, my fold center. I say fold center line. So anything that I'll draw here, or shape, I'll shape here, will go on the other, like part, that the part 2, because I say I fold 1 on top of 2. So anything that I'll draw here or do here on the top will be going down in the other parts, like palito. It's like when people using carbon paper. When you draw on whatever you draw on the top goes on the paper down. That is thing, I think, the idea for dividing by 4. because whatever you cut here will have the same like a form on this interfacing uh, interfacing down that we don't see. So that the part two. Anything we do on the part one will be shown on the two. So that I say so by dividing by four, we simplify our measurement so that we can make it small and then allow us to use it better than using it like 35 will be difficult. So that the idea why we divide by four is just to make the cloth small. We divide the body, the circumference in four parts, and then we use one part. Whatever we'll be using on the face part here will be the same on this party two, the same on the four, the three, and the same on the four. So then we'll have our four part that will be equal. So that's the idea of dividing by four. So I think I make it clear. And then there will be only one difference. It will be when we drafting the back. The difference will be by the, as I said, the full part. The difference will be after drafting the back. If we putting when we'll be putting the zip on the back or the slit, that the only difference that will change the color what it will be, because we will need to add that zip allowance or slit allowance. But if we cutting the skirt and then we decide somebody say, okay, I'll put my zip on the side seam, so everything will be cut in the same way. So that the only thing that I was trying to explain for the like the why we divide by four those like waist and the hip. So that the reason. So the as I say this one and color this the allowance. This allowance will help us to sew the waistband. You know, when you want to sew your waistband to the body of the skirt, you need allowance on the waist. So these are the allowance, because if you do not put this allowance, as I say, the total length is like in 19 and a half. Now, if you do not put this allowance, let's consider these are one and two. When you sew, you remove this one of quarter. So rather than the skirt to be 19 and a half on length, it will be 19 inches only. So some people may complain because some people they want the skirt to be in some level. Some people they may just say, oh, it's fine, but some people whatever they want, there what you have to show them, because half of inch is something. It may show maybe a bit top on where the person needs a skirt to be. So that the reason this is the allowance too. Is this is allowance? Is an allowance. As I say, it help us to sew the waistband and the body of the skirt. As I say, the total. This also is an allowance. It's meaning after you draft your skirt. Let's see, you draft your skirt here. So you need to put. You see on some skirt or clothes, you find there's a inside here. Some of them, even when they don't have a lining or they have lining, you find if fabric go inside. So these are the hem. That's why we call hem. Is also allowance. Yeah. Yes, some people you may see it maybe small, no matter how it may be. Somebody may put it less than 1 inches and half of inch. It depends. Some people you may never feel even long, especially for the African. When people we making African attire, some people we go even high. You see it more than this allowance. Yeah, people go so that they will put less of lining, because when you use more fabric you put less lining, so people do it. So these are the things that I was just trying to explain, and so these are the formula that you'll be using. In this way you'll be using this formula. So I know by divide divide with the English country is giving me headache sometimes to divide this thing. What people I've seen them doing more, as I say, the waist is inch 31 inches and a half. They do just like this. They come here, they fold the measuring tape in four party. They do this, they do this, and then this is for two, like divide by two, and then they do again like this. So then they do the measurement like this. They took this, and then they say this the quarter is what the people do. So because in inches is hard for me, centimeter is easy. It's easy for me to go in centimeter because we go doing those math in centimeter. So people do this, and then they can take, you see where it's written one and two, and then they took, they divide it like this. They make it simple. Yeah, we can also do it in centimeter. Yeah, but I like it. So it's giving you the measurement will be it's not 18. Okay, it's okay. Let me make it clear. It's seven. It's like 7 or 8. It's seven, and is it three quarter? Yeah, it's a one, two, three. Yeah, it's like when they say waist divide by four, it's 7 and 3 quarter. You see that it's give. So you go from all these things. I know you better with your math in inches. I'm not good with math in inches, so I was just trying to make you understanding that why I put those value. So and then I say if we go in practice, what we'll do for the in hip, you're gonna replace 39 and the half of inch, and then for the waist you're gonna replace 31 and half of inch, and then you go see here you don't have to replace because this one is a constant measurement. We talk about 8 and half of inch. So here the total you replace 19 and half of inch. That the way you're gonna practice. So you say 39 half of inch divided by 4, and then you put your seam allowance, and then you say 31 half of inch and divide by 4 plus the seam allowance. It depends. As I say, most of seam allowance is this one. I say 1 inches to 2 inches, and then the dart is also 1 inches. That is simple. One, but you can put more 1 inches. So those are the measurements that you need to use when to apply when you making a sketch. And then after now using your formula, you'll be having certain like amount. As I say here, oh okay, the hip we went with this one, the waist it's give a 3 and a quarter, and then you say plus your seam allowance, let's put 1 inches plus the dart allowance 1 inches. So you do your math, and then it will give you a kind of a certain amount, that the amount you will be applied. So I'll be explaining next time how we can go now start to draft our measurement, like our scale. Then the amount you'll be having here will be a quarter of the body of that, like a quarter of the waist that you're gonna use, because you fold your clothes. You're gonna fold your clothes. You're gonna fold it for what a quarter. So whatever I'll be using here, it will be this measure amount you have here. That will help you to use there. So in the same way, you're gonna fold, but I will explain how we're gonna fold. We don't just fold like this. There's some like a guideline to help to fold our clothes and then to sew them. So for this, I think we can make it short. If then it will give anybody to go back and see what we have done. If there are questions, don't hesitate to ask question. Ask question, comment, like, subscribe, share. So let also others be able also to see, to learn. As I say, I just decide to share my knowledge. This is Hervé Molato. Hervé Molato is a business where we're doing sewing. Our principal activity is sewing. We sew clothes, and we sew everything that is coming from fabric. We sew clothes, we sew men, we do ladies, we do children. Yeah, so we do everything. So don't hesitate. If you have any question, ask your question. But I just also encourage people to practice. More you practice, more you become better. What you see, I just tell people anytime I teach, I don't have any book with me. So sewing is part of me. I've been doing sewing for 21st years. So it's part of me. I don't need a book. I know what to do. So you too can become like me, even better than me. So don't let anybody stop you. Don't let anybody come tell you stupid thing. No, you cannot. No, nothing is impossible for the person who believes. If you believe that you can do it, then do it, and then you'll get there. Thank you very much for watching me, and like, share with other people also they can learn. In the next video, I'll be going for the drafting, and then I'll know we're gonna get more stuff again. Yeah, and I believe that you will learn more. For now, bye bye, and stay strong.